5 hours from Australia, and you're on holiday. You're on a permanent holiday here in Malaysia.
The food's very good, the accommodation's nice, everything is nice.
G'day, my name's Jack, an Aussie expat living in Malaysia, and today we're here with the Moth family. Welcome, guys.
Hey!
It's been great to meet Jimmy. We just had a chat off camera for quite a while. It's been really interesting to meet another Australian in Malaysia who's been living here for about 6 months now. Is that right? Or a bit longer?
Yeah, we've been coming on and off for years now, but we've officially been here on a digital nomad visa for about 6 months.
Fantastic. So you guys also have a YouTube channel as well, so make sure to check them out. So we thought we'd have a little chat on camera and just get to know each other. Why did you guys leave Australia? I mean, I think that's the big question that people want to know.
Really, it came down to, at one point, Jimmy had a bit of a midlife crisis. We had a business, we had 15 staff, we had everything going on, and we'd had enough of the grind, the 9 to 5. It was just going on for so much time, and we spent too much time away from the kids. Literally, they would go to school and we wouldn't see them until it was bedtime, kind of thing. So it just came to the point of breaking point, and we needed to figure out something else, and traveling life was an idea, and that's what stuck.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. And guys, lately I've been speaking to a lot of Australians or Westerners who are looking to leave the West and go somewhere new. So you guys picked Asia. Why did you pick Malaysia specifically, and where else in Asia have you gone?
Yeah, so we've been all over Asia, really. We've been pretty much everywhere. And we always seem to come back to Malaysia. And we've been here 10 times before we decided to settle down here. And it's mainly just because of all the countries in Southeast Asia, it's probably the most family friendly by a long shot, and also the closest to being, if you were to do Southeast Asia on easy mode, Malaysia is probably Southeast Asia on easy mode. The water's good, the transportation is really good, it's clean, there's not as many people as a lot of countries in Southeast Asia. They speak English really well, they drive on the left side of the road like we do in Australia. Everything aligns very closely with Australia, very close as well, so if you need to get home. And we just found it's been a great place to raise a family too. Everyone's friendly and it's a great place.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I agree. I'm obviously speaking as the younger guy without a family, but I keep saying Malaysia is one of these underrated places, particularly for families if you have kids, because it's, like you said, easy speaking English. I mean, compared to Bali and Thailand, all these other countries, would you want to raise a family there? Probably not, but Malaysia is where to be. So you've got the 2 kids here, so you do the homeschooling, you were telling me, right? How does that go in Malaysia?
It actually goes pretty well for us. We still do use our program from Australia because obviously we want to stick with the Australian curriculum, but it's all online. We then go out and do all sorts of activities to get the rest of all the subjects in, like history and geography and all those kinds of things. So we spend our days doing a little bit of school in the morning, and then it might be an activity with friends in the afternoon. We have a massive friend group in Penang with a heap of kids, and we just organise an activity where we go and do a science lesson, or we go and do an art lesson, or we go to a museum or something like that.
Been playing a lot of pickleball recently, so
education.
Physical education. But it's really good. And I've noticed that obviously one of the biggest things with homeschooling when you talk to people about it is socialization. And kids, they say, oh, kids won't make friends and stuff. But we've found the opposite, especially traveling, is the kids are making friends with other kids that are traveling. They always have things to talk about. They always have things to share. Their friends right now are in Dubai, so when they get back, they're going to have to talk about their adventures in Dubai and things. So we've experienced the opposite. We think our kids have become more socialised travelling and doing homeschooling than they would have in Australia.
I completely agree. So I grew up in Sydney. I went to a K to 12. So from when I was the age of 5 to 18, I stayed at one school. I didn't have to socialise properly with other people, make new friends. I wish I had travelled when I was younger because it's opened my eyes. So I think it's so good you guys are taking your kids to Asia particularly. You get to see another part of the world. Do you guys like it here?
I do, yeah.
Yeah? What's your favourite thing about Malaysia?
Food.
What's your favourite food?
Roti canais.
Oh, that'll be a popular answer. Yeah, what do you guys think of the food here?
I mean, that's the answer, right? No, I think, like I said, we've been all over Asia and the food's good everywhere, right, in Asia. But what I like about Malaysia specifically in the food is that you can get pretty much anything, and it's always got some kind of mix. If you want a roti canai, you can have something that's Indian, or you can have some kind of Indian Chinese fusion, or you can have some kind of Malaysian Chinese fusion, or you can just have Malaysian food, or you can just have Western food. It's all here. I
love that.
Yeah, and it's like the fusions are really well thought out too.
Particularly with the kids, I have younger sisters, for those of you who don't know, and they're very just stuck on Western food. It's the fish and chips, the burgers. Don't try something different. Asian food, don't want it spicy, but they get this exposure. I mean, that's unbelievable. I think that's fantastic. Good job.
Yeah, and Liam's been into eels lately, inagi, and so been eating a lot of inagi and mackerel and stuff, and that was coming to Japan. So we went to Japan and there's lots of fish there. And even Riley was a pretty picky eater when we first started traveling, but not so much now. He's still reasonably picky, but not. He will eat outside of his comfort zone now. And
How old's Riley?
Riley's 8 and then Liam's 10. So
Riley, what's your favourite food?
Probably the noodles.
Noodles.
Any type of ramen? You like any type of ramen or any type of like chicken noodles?
chicken rice.
Chicken rice.
Yeah, chicken rice. Yeah, so Malaysia's got food for everyone of all ages. Wow, that's awesome. So you guys have settled in Penang. So we're here meeting in Kuala Lumpur, where I am at the moment. Why did you pick Penang over KL?
Well, that's a good question. Funny story, we actually were this close to signing a lease in KLCC. We were like this close, seeing the Petronas Towers. It was beautiful. But firstly, we have friends in Penang. We're friends with a lot of families over there. So that was convenience factor. But also, the thing with KL is that it doesn't matter where you are in KL, you're looking over sprawl. Right, like it doesn't matter really in what direction you go. You're just looking over other people in the towers. Yeah. Whereas in Penang, you're looking over the water a lot of the time. And coming from Australia, it's nice to just look over the ocean. So that's one of the main reasons. I would say that like KL does have some advantages over Penang. The traffic can get pretty crazy in Penang just because there's less roads. Whereas KL you can zip around on highways and things like that. So
Rent price?
The rent price.
The rent price for us was actually a whole probably 1,000 ringgit cheaper per month to rent in Penang with a view of the ocean rather than here just looking at buildings. Yep. So we got a bigger apartment for a better view for less money.
Yeah, that's a big factor. I mean, I looked at Penang as well. Obviously, I have to be here for work, guys. But yeah, Penang is a good option. The thing I miss most about Australia are the beaches and the ocean. So in Kuala Lumpur, no beaches, no oceans. There's nice rooftop pools though. So I'll settle with that. But yeah, that's a good point. So what do you guys think about the cost of living in Malaysia, particularly compared to Australia? I'm sure that's one of the big reasons you like it here, right?
Yeah, and it's impossible to compare because it's so much cheaper here. But what I would say is that we could afford to go back to Australia. The reason we don't is obviously the quality of life here, but it'd be a third of the cost of Australia pretty much for every single thing, right? So it's a third of the cost, but like it's not a third of the quality. That's what I try to explain to people. It's like it's a third of the cost of Australia, but it'd be like 3/4 of the quality of Australia. Pretty much everything is like that. So it's like you have a better quality of life because your dollar goes further here. And like Pauline said, our apartment, it's 2,500 square feet. It's 4 bedroom, 5 bathroom, and half of it looks over the ocean. And it's $270 a week Australian. It's like
that's massive.
Yeah, it's like that would be our apartment would be $2,000 a week on the Gold Coast or something like that, right? So it's like we get to live this quality of life that we could maybe afford in Australia if we really worked and like crazy amounts, but that time that we don't have to earn as much and we spend that time just spending time together as a family, then really pushing hard to like keep up with the Joneses, we can get that quality of life that the Joneses have, but we also get to spend time with our family, which is a nice perk of living in Southeast Asia.
You've escaped the rat race, because I know that's how a lot of people feel. If you're watching this, if you're in the West, you're going to work, you're saving a little bit of money, not much left over at the end. You don't have time to spend with your kids and your family. What's the point of life? You want to be able to do these cool experiences and travel the world, and you guys are loving it. Like you see, he loves it. That's awesome. What do you think about the safety in Malaysia? I think this is a popular topic. What do you think? Do you guys feel safe, particularly as a family or as a woman?
I've never had an issue here in Malaysia. So even Jimmy had to leave, I think it was last year or the year before, and we were in KL at that point, just here for a month. He left to go back to Australia for 2 weeks for a big conference. Okay. It was just myself and the kids. Yep. I had no issues whatsoever. Like, everyone is helpful, everyone is friendly. I don't ever feel unsafe. And even we were walking around the middle of KL, going to the shops at night time and things like that, just us. And I've never had an issue in Malaysia. Amazing. Never.
Yeah, there you go.
I would also add too, like, you can see, like, we're pretty modest in the way we dress. We don't wear jewelry and stuff. So like it's common sense prevails anywhere in Asia. If you're like blinged out with rings and gold chains and stuff, then you're going to make yourself a target. But if you just live like a normal person does and you just have your wedding ring and stuff like that, you're never going to have an issue in these countries. And I also think it's because these countries have such a, like Malaysia and Southeast Asia, they have such a pride in their country that they don't want to be the person that ruins the reputation of the country by robbing a tourist or robbing a foreigner. There's that sense of like pride in the country that, you know, I can understand, you know, there's always going to be crime in every place you go, but we've spoken to a lot of expats and foreigners, and I haven't met anyone that has had any serious crime happen to them since they've been.
I've had the same experience. Whenever I speak to people think here is safer than Australia. I can attest to that. I think a lot of it is to do with the nightlife as well, actually. I mean, in Australia in the West, if you're going out at night, if you're clubbing, if you're drinking alcohol, that's where you're going to have the most problems. That's what happened to me. But here, it's, you know, it is more family friendly. There is less alcohol. There's reasons for that, but that works out well, and it is generally safe. And I mean, you can party here too, guys. And if you're going to go out at the middle of the night, maybe you're going to have more problems. But if you're just, you know, you're sensible people living your life, then I think everything is going to go well.
I'll say this too, like the rule of law is different in Southeast Asia, right? So in Australia, the consequence of crime is so low for people that most law-abiding citizens will never know this, but if you rob someone, you could do that a few times before you'd even look at jail. Most of the time it's a fine, community service, things like that. Over here, the rule of law is different. They just don't tolerate crime as lenient as they do in Australia. So if you rob someone, you'll go to jail. There's no ifs or buts. You know, like my barber in Penang just recently had a fight, a car road rage incident. He went into lockup for 3 days, and it was just a fight like any other fight. And he had to like end up like going to court and everything like that. But they just don't tolerate it here. So everyone's just learned that I don't commit crime because I don't want to go to jail for stealing.
So it works as a deterrent, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If it actually does reduce crime, great. Have you taken the MRT in Malaysia? Have you seen the women's only carriages?
We always go on it. Yeah, so even yesterday we had gone to the dentist. So Liam's got an orthodontic dentist that is here, and they've actually changed practices. So we had to go all the way out to Damansara, and we came back from there on the train, and we hop on the women's carriages because I'm allowed on there with the kids. I think they're great personally, but I don't actually mind like sitting anywhere on the train. Like it doesn't matter, but it really does help when you're just allowed in the women's area just with kids as well. So
awesome. I think it's a great feature. I don't see a problem with that. Some people will have a problem with it, but I don't think so.
Have you seen in the car parks here, some of the car parks have women only car parking section?
Yes, I mean that has been a problem when I can't find a car spot, but
yes, but I think that's safe as well, because normally they're located right near an entry or an exit, so you're not having to walk through a full dark car park to get to your car.
That's right. It's there for a reason, and no, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's great. The women feel safe. That's good. You mentioned the dentist there, the dental. What do you think of the healthcare in Malaysia?
So good. You know, this is what people don't know, because it comes up a lot on our YouTube channel. It's like, oh, what happens if you get sick? And, you know, we're a family who gets sick all the time, right? Yeah. The healthcare system in Southeast Asia is one of the most underrated aspects of Southeast Asia. People just think because it's in Malaysia or the Philippines that there's like witch doctors doing medicine, right? But most of the doctors here are trained in Australia, and then they come back to Malaysia because they have to work in public hospitals here. The healthcare system in Malaysia, I would argue, is as good, if not better, than Australia, because you don't have to wait as long, firstly. And secondly, you know, we're just talking about this dentist. The dental, like we can book a dentist, you can book it through WhatsApp. You can just book it through WhatsApp, rock up, and a third of the price. And, you know, that's got its pros and cons too, but like we haven't had a situation where we've got travel insurance as well. So if something major happens, we can go back to Australia and get healthcare. But we haven't had to use that, and we've had some pretty serious injuries. And I said to Pauline, like, if I get injured, seriously, don't send me back to Australia. Just send me to Glen Eagles, or send me to Sunway Hospital. Send me there, because I'd much rather be in that hospital than wait in a ramp in Australia and Sydney, wait on a ramp and die on a ramp, you know?
Yeah, so that matches my experience. I just did the video at Alti Orthopedic. I'm going to do more videos there. But yeah, these hospitals here are accessible. You don't have to wait. It's affordable. That just validates what I've been saying, and particularly about the dentist. So I chipped my tooth a few months ago, and in Australia, that would have been such a headache to get a dentist appointment and get that fixed. But yeah, I just sent them a WhatsApp message. They said, yeah, you can come in straight away. So I just walked there, got it fixed, and it was like not much money.
We've had that situation pop up exactly. So Liam's two front teeth have got a big crack in them, and that happened in Australia. We're at a skate park, and it cost us $1,000 Australian to get those two teeth fixed. And we went to the dentist here because one had to get tidied up because it wasn't right. And she's like, oh, what did that cost you? And I was like, oh, it was about 3,000 ringgit. And she goes, you could get two new teeth for that, in Malaysia. We could have pulled them out, put implants in for that. So it just shows, and I understand why, like if you live in Australia, a dentist needs to earn $200,000 a year to live the life that they should expect. Whereas we were looking at braces, and the cost of the brace themselves, the Invisalign, is very similar price, but the labour cost is so much lower here. It's not that things are cheaper here. The quality of stuff is the same. It's just the labour costs are cheaper to produce it.
It's the same Invisalign. I had Invisalign in Australia, and that was probably 6 years ago, and that cost $6,000. I imagine it wouldn't cost 20,000 ringgit here.
No, it was going to be like 14,000 ringgit, and that was because the labour, like the Invisalign costs the same wherever you go in the world, but they were going to charge us $200. Whereas in Australia they're charging $2,000 for the labour to do the Invisalign. So
my point is, you're getting the exact same product. It's the same Invisalign, same experience for less money. Mate, what did you think of the dentist? Was it good quality?
It is very good quality here.
You like seeing doctors and stuff? No problem?
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome, that's great. Okay guys, so as Australian expats who have left the country, would you recommend other Australians do the same? Would you recommend they move to Malaysia? If so, why?
I would say yes. Just because the visa system is actually quite easy to get a visa as long as you're working and you can either be working or you could be a retired expat. There's multiple different options to get visas. Very, very simple system. And here you're getting a better quality of life than you would be in Australia. And it's really not that far. You're 5 hours from Australia.
That's it.
And you're on holiday. You're on a permanent holiday here in Malaysia.
Yeah, so build that lifestyle that you don't need to escape from. You can live here, and if you want to go back to Australia, it's 8-9 hours to Sydney or 4 or 5 hours to Perth. How about you guys? Would you recommend other Australian kids come to Asia?
Yeah, the food's very good, the accommodation's nice, everything is nice.
Awesome. There you go. You heard it from them. Jimmy, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Check out their channel, and see you in the next one.